You will come back, my friends. Skirt.
So, I'm in the middle of watching the show Kindred The Embraced that came out from Fox in 1996. Roughly during the time of Vampire the Masquerade's second edition books that had a cornucopia of brand new clans for players for the World of Darkness to take in consideration for their next games. Now, during this time when the show first dropped, I was unable to watch for reasons that are my own, but also if you guys can tell how old I am, you could probably fill in the gaps on why I wasn't able to physically watch it at said time. But I digress. So, when I finally watched it in the big 2026, after not only getting a lot more experience under my belt and other things, like being in the industry for some time, I can wholeheartedly say, with all of my heart, this show was poorly written by people who probably never played the game, or a lot of things involving the World of Darkness, because there are so many things that went wrong. I had to cancel my original plans, I had to scrap the other stuff I had planned for this month, and I think last month, it's been a hot minute, to do this episode of The Pitch, which is how to fix Kindred The Embraced. Not just from the 7 episodes that were publicly shown and the 8th that was only released later down the line for people that really wanted to watch it, but honest to God, just the whole thing in general that would have made for a much better seasonal show that would have probably still gone on to this day. So first and foremost, let's clear up how the first episode kicks off for the pilot. Instead of having it where it's the Bruja Mafia, where it's these well-dressed people in suits killing a gangrel, which is apparently a biker, let's change it up to be more exact on where it is. Have it where the Mafia is either truly Ventru, or introduce the brand new clan that came in 2nd edition, which is the Giovanni. The Giovanni also carry a different subtext to where you could have had the older ones, maybe in Antediluvian, in the background do some stuff of some necromancy to build up suspense here and there, bring in that whole sci-fi horror aspect for people, or just plain vampiric horror for people that want to market it correctly. So, on that whole marketability standpoint, if you use the Giovanni, a relatively new clan that people didn't know too much about, because 2nd edition wasn't that widely spread for many fans for the World of Darkness, having it be that big push means that they can be at the forefront about introducing a brand new concept, idea, or flushed out creation for a wider audience that would probably have more of an attachment to the Giovanni clan for how it does have ties for mafiosos. From there, maybe have it where the prince, not being very Ventru, but more or less just Giovanni, having it that whole angle of different Giovanni clans from different cities competing, builds more on that whole mafia edge for this vampiric soap opera that could have been a horror soap opera fusion. Having it be where the grotesque nature of what they're doing could lead into a much more volatile construct for what they want to do but can't do against the Camorrilla. Now that we've established that whole thing for a small little backdrop that might lead back into our lead prince being Julian Luna, let's also go into the rest of the clans, where our beautiful, bald white man that looks like Mr. Clean's evil cousin, Mr. Dirty, because he's a dirty, dirty man. Let's not have that be the Nosferatu. He is definitely not Nosferatu by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe a child of the Setis, which is now known as the Ministry, but I would not say Nosferatu. It's just a bald white man that looks like he may or may not have jaundice. I'm just saying, does not fit the build for a Nosferatu. It's just a bald white guy. So Daedalus, I think that's his name, Daedalus being who he is, being now more Ministry, builds more into if he's secretly the sheriff under Julian Luna, who is the prince, that is now recontextualized as the Giovanni. It can breed forth new drama of, is he truly there for the prince? Is he there for the city of San Francisco? Is he here for any real means of the imagination that we, the audience, know? Or is there something more to it underneath the character? Is there something built up more of just anything of substance that is better than what we had prior? Hard to say. So, having it be where the Giovanni and the Setis, now the Ministry, as of 2026, you can build up so much more for this cast of characters, this motley crew of Kindred, to have more substance being told. Sorry about the cut right there. Normally we don't do cuts here. It's just usually off the fly, off the cuff, but I had to take a pause because it is hot as hell from the humidity. UV rays are killing my body. Now, back to the rest of the whole thing. We could go back and forth on why there's only 5 clans, even though that number is a fucking lie. As of 2nd edition VTM, there are way more secrets being unfolded thanks to the Mark of Cain expanding to showcase that there are many more people in secret everywhere. But I digress. We could obviously make the change up of the bikers being the Bruja, because that's typically what Bruja would be. They would be the bikers, they would be the hired help for muscle or for security. They wouldn't be, in suits. They would feel very disgusting wearing suits, just like, oh, what the fuck am I doing in this monkey suit? Why the fuck are my muscles being covered in this monkey suit? And that's usually the women talking. You should hear how the men talk in the Bruja. Way less sophisticated and way more crass. But I digress. We have it where, with them being the bikers, what would the gangrels then be? Have them more or less lurk in the shadows, more or less like feral creatures, because gangrels are more of the feral vampire clans in VTM. Within the world of darkness, having them be more of the ground units, those people that lurk in the shadows, maybe as assassin types, if we were to really give it a name or anything of the sort to it, that breeds more intrigue when you really think about it. Because having them be the assassins within the city for whoever tries to do something that really benefits them, it breeds forth better connectivity of why they would be included in our lead prince of Julian Luna's coven. I'm sorry, not coven, coterie. My bad, it's been a hot minute since I played VTM. His coterie. And why they would want to have a portion of control within San Francisco. Because typically gangrels don't care about the Camarilla, or anything to do with the Camarilla. I should know. I used to play a lot of gangrel stuff, because I can't get enough of those feral people. They just so wacky and crazy. But I digress. From those standpoints, I would probably go on to keep the Toreador where they are, because there are honestly very little ways to screw up how to play a toreador unless you just have no idea how they work at all. Like, it is very seldom you hear people being like, I don't know how to play a toreador. As someone who used to main them for years on years, there are many ways to play them unless you really, really have no imagination. Or just have no idea how to play a creative class of races. Well, well, I mean, technically that's not wrong. As weird as that sounds, technically that's not wrong. That's that craziness that I just spoke in for every part of myself. I just confused and inspired me. Great job, me. You're doing a great, great job. Now, back to where my thought process was, because it's been a hot minute. Moving on from the vampires, because if I were to stick with all of the vampires overall, I would just be here all day. We would not have a single thing finished. So let's just address the other elephant in the room that comes from, I don't know, the humans. Just the humans. Most assuredly, the human character of Frank, who is just a random human who apparently falls in love with a person of the kindred lifestyle, and so many other stupid things. So let's just fully address all of that stuff of, I think Frank's involvement, although brilliant in how they have the concept for it, is just very stupid in execution. So fucking stupid. It's honestly like watching a modern Linkara video. Anywho, so how do we fix Frank and his overall involvement with him having a covert partner that is also a kindred? Well, alright. I guess the easiest fix for him would probably be to sow the seeds of what would eventually be a hunter that comes into fruition a lot in VTM. Hunters are a big, big thing. Of individuals that hunt down supernaturals a great deal. When you have that be the selling point, that ends up selling off more of a mystery about what he could or could not do. But that only has the biggest selling point if you do one very crucial thing, one very important thing. And that thing is to make sure his lover of Leah, I'm going to say, because I can't remember all of the unimportant characters' names after the week I've had. But if we had Leah instead be a human that just happened to be in love with Julian Luna, who had an okay from the Camarilla because of how long he's been in the city, where she might be slightly older. Like, let's age her up a bit to maybe be more in her 40s, to go with Julian Luna, the prince, who is several hundred or a few thousand years old. Having that selling point pushes a better march of he couldn't let her live because she was about to expose them. So the overall coterie that was developed by Julian to have more of a network of people that soon became a council for each clan gave over a voting process of he has to eliminate her. And in doing so, leaving her body with her last dying breath goes towards him, where now Julian has to protect Frank. Frank hates the protection because he thinks that Julian is the reason that she is dead. but fighting off that whole cause that he, in a very Shakespearean way, is the reason she is dead in the first place. With that whole curtain call right there, him becoming the hunter then makes more of an interesting dynamic of, instead of him being with all of the police procedural stuff, we slowly have him get peeled away to where, with him losing his grip on what he knows as a regular person, he is now in the trenches to just be a hunter without a home. He loses everything because now he does not know what to do and how to do it. And from it, developing different technologies from what he studies, what he uncovers, what he unfurls with everyone to see. Frank being the first proto-hunter, probably within the World of Darkness, without really touching on stuff in the World of Darkness too much in second edition, it breathes more life of how this soap opera becomes very Shakespearean within the horror aspect, and breeding forth more stuff to where, instead of it being an 8-episode count because of just expositing so much within the pilot with no breaks, we just slowly have things come out as little breadcrumbs, like little breadcrumbs. Having it be where the runtime for the pilot is not over an hour long. Like, let's just dial it back to maybe be 40 to 45 minutes, like the other episodes would be. Make that whole shit sublime when you reduce the fucking thing like that. And then when you bring it forth with each episode, unfurling more stuff with the new clans that were introduced, the new mechanics for players that would be like, oh, I want to do this in my next game. I gotta tell my storyteller about this. You now have the people hooked. You're now selling more books. You're now doing a lot more than just peddling something dull and boring. Now you have something. Now you're building off something. And you can build off this to be for several seasons. I would say 4 at max. To have it be where Frank's beginnings go into play where, hypothetically, the final episode would be he eliminates the Prince of San Francisco. Sure, have the first official hunter that would be a playable character for many become the person who kills the prince. You then build up a power vacuum, but also a plot hook of, is Julian Luna truly dead if he is with the Giovanni clan? Who's to say someone within the Giovanni clan isn't about to use necromancy from the oldest people, if not the antediluvian, to have his body come back as a servant for someone more powerful and more readily available to take up the reins for everything? Who's to say that his last living human relative wouldn't just become part of the clan of Giovanni to take up the whole reins as revenge against Frank, where Frank created his greatest enemy, so forth and so on, to build up more of an impactful narrative that can go for at least 4 seasons, that can go the distance to build off more things, to push more clans to get the spotlight, not just the clans that people know off-brand, had a slip up, of the Toreador, the Bruja, the Ventru, all of those mainline ones that people just know off-key for everything. Build off the ones that people have a lot less knowledge of, the more underappreciated, the more obscured, to make those more interesting. Now you're building something that would have made VTM fans go wild and crazy, the same way that D&D fans are eating right now, thanks to Critical Role, thanks to Dungeons and Dads, thanks to Dimension 20, thanks to Legends of Evantris, thanks to Legend of Vox Machina, thanks to the Mighty Nine TV series, thanks to Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the film that actually did a lot better than what people were expecting. You're building off something that would have been phenomenally beautiful and make a lot of money. And that's something that really depresses me, because VTM, like anything in the World of Darkness, has so much to offer more than just what the video games showcase, and the TV show would have been a great vehicle. So I hope you guys at least enjoyed this very sporadic episode of The Pitch, where I have a second one coming out for the month of July, because I don't remember if I did one for the month of June. So we're going to have 2 this month in July, no episode in August, because I have a lot of plans in August, and then I'm going to probably have 3 episodes in September to make up for stuff that I might be missing out on, thanks to October and November being busy, with December probably having another big batch, but we shall see. We shall see.
Boom, you feel it when I walk in the room. The shiver up your spine as I loom. The string puller like harps that's keeping y'all in tune.